Let me tell you all a story. I used to work at this company, and I hated it.
This is the worst.
So, I quit. Well, that's the end of that, right?
Wrong.
Nope! I decided to start trashing my ex-company on LinkedIn for the rest of my career. Even after joining a new company, my obsession with the old one never ended. I centered my whole identity around being an ex-employee. Started attracting some weird followers too. Now, for whatever reason, you may think that I'm talking about ex-Muslims. I don't know what made you think that, but rest assured, if you ask people like Indian Haiwan over here, then you will know that ex-Muslims are the cream of the intellectual Muslim crop. They are the brain drain of the Muslim community. They became so smart that they outgrew Islam. Look, just watch this old video of ex-Muslims I made to see what I'm talking about.
I'm just a really scientific person.
A few moments later.
How is scientific literature a stereotype?
It was your. What are you
So the peer-reviewed-
sourcing here? Because you have clearly believed all of the Google articles about how it was only attributed to the gay community. That's my opinion. That's it. Monkeypox was ridiculous. I'm just a really scientific person.
Now look, we don't pick on people who mind their own business. We only pick on the ex-Muslims who publicize their stupidity to the world.
Muhammad hijab admits Allah prays for Muhammad.
I'll divide ex-Muslims into three distinct categories. My observations, of course. And yes, I know this is not all-inclusive, but let's roll with it. Let's start with category number 1. This is an amazing category, guys. It makes for some amazing primetime TV entertainment.
And we begin our prayer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Please have my father stop beating my mother.
Did the Ramadan delay their career? Delay their career? Delay their career?
I was forced to memorize the Quran. Every mistake that you do, this whip will just come right in the middle of your head.
Saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Malik yawmiddin iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in.
So this entertainment is for a very specific breed of Christian intellectuals. Now, if you're a Christian who didn't reach such intellectual heights, you may be wondering, how come Muslims don't take any of these people seriously? It's because they lie so blatantly, we don't know what to make of them anymore.
That there is not a single verse in the Quran designed to comfort a hurting man.
See, I don't know if he's a liar or if he's just an idiot. But for some reason, the Christian community keeps taking notes on Islam, not from Muslims or from the Quran, but from these ex-Muslim clowns.
If you read the Quran, you will find clearly that Muhammad is above Allah himself.
Above Allah.
He's above Allah.
Yeah, someone tell this Islam expert here what Allahu Akbar means. No, not you. Allahu Akbar literally means Allah is the greatest. Nothing is above him. So this...
If you read the Quran, you will find clearly that Muhammad is above Allah himself.
This is total garbage. Even the Christian host is like, this doesn't sound right at all.
Above Allah.
He's above Allah.
Why would you call this bandar on your show only for him to mislead your audience? Speaking of bandars, who the hell is Muhammad Fayaz? Oh, he wrote a book? Oh, he must be real smart then.
You hear this propaganda that Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world, which is a load of utter nonsense. When you actually look at on how they do the head count, every child that is born, they head count it as a Muslim. If Christians apply that same principle, Christianity would be 4 times as big as what it is.
Shh! Quiet, everybody. The ex-Muslim has spoken. Pure research. If a Muslim couple has a kid, how dare you count that kid as a Muslim? So there's a total of 2.382 billion Christians in the world today.
If Christians apply that same principle, Christianity would be 4 times as big as what it is.
Okay, so with the proper methodology, now we have a grand total of... So if Pew counted Christians the way they count Muslims according to this guy, there'd be more Christians in the world than people. Christians, stop getting your information on Islam from clowns.
Stop watching Answering Islam because you're gonna look a fool.
Now, moving on to category number 2.
I'm just a really scientific person.
I'm queer, my sister's queer, my mother and her sisters, all 3 of them turned out to be queer.
These are the insecure byproducts of Western secular liberalism being injected into not just the Muslim world, but pretty much all over the world. These category number 2 ex-Muslims are outright dissenters. They have to tell everyone they meet that they have left Islam, even when nobody asked them. They present themselves as the critical thinkers of Muslim society, as seen in this totally factual video.
People who leave Islam aren't the ones who know the least about it. In fact, it's often the most inquisitive about the religion who do so, sometimes after very deliberate study.
Oh, that's wonderful! Can you guys show an example of some of the deep studying done by these inquisitive Muslims before they decided to leave?
I remember thinking about, well, where did God come from? If you don't need anything for God to exist, then why do we need God for the universe to exist?
What? That's your question? I mean, it's a question that kept me wondering as well when I was 5.
And I remember asking Mom that, and she said, thinking about stuff like that is fitna, because it gives a chance for the shaitan, for the devil to kind of
play with your head.
Yeah, play with your head.
I mean, looking at how you ended up, she wasn't wrong. See, I don't respect this line of reasoning.
I don't respect that anymore.
You want me to accept that you studied the issues deeply before leaving Islam, but your gotcha question is, who created God? Why does the universe need God? The universe began. It came into existence. It cannot come into existence from nothing, because nothing cannot create anything. Allah is uncreated, because anything that is created is reliant on its creator, while Allah, by definition, is self-sufficient. Even very basic levels of research can lead you to the problem of infinite regress to address this question. Look, if you couldn't do anything else, just read Surah Ikhlas. Pretty much answers the question most 5-year-old Muslim kids have. Look, you don't have to accept what I'm saying, even though your alternative atheistic explanation of nothing creating the universe is far less logical. My problem is when people like you come saying, oh, I was too smart for Islam. It has no logical answer to my very unique question, so I was told to shut up. I'm really doubting any real deep studying was done by the likes of you.
Before they make the difficult choice to leave, ex-Muslims first double down into more rigorous theological study, more often than not.
Well, good to know they all got their PhDs in Islamic studies right before they left.
Those who know Islam the most are those most convinced of its falsehood.
Oh wow, great data compiled there. Can I get the source for this? Ah, that's what I thought.
We get this a lot, this whole idea that you wouldn't have this stance if you had looked outside the limited perspective of blah, blah, blah context. You aren't familiar with the other, the other ways of thinking and interpreting and blah, blah, blah. This is presumptive, paternalistic to assume that we're speaking from a place of ignorance, that we haven't heard, digested, and reflected long upon all of these arguments.
Evidence. All this is screaming and feelings. How about like a shred of evidence?
I decided, you know what, I'm gonna be more religious. I'm gonna read the Quran from start to finish, and this time I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna look really deeply in it.
So since she's a self-proclaimed alima, I'm really expecting to hear points I haven't heard before. Lucky for us, we got a video here where she showcases this talent. Finally, some evidence.
Have I looked at Islam outside of the realm of Saudi Arabia, outside of Lebanon, outside of the Islamic world? Yes, I read the Quran from cover to cover numerous times. The Quran instructs women to cover.
Oh no, women have to put clothes on now.
The Quran says that
Can you not interrupt, please? Can you please not interrupt? Let her finish.
للذكر مثل حظ الأنثيين. Isn't that?
My opinion, it's wrong.
Of course it's wrong. That's in the Quran. That's it. That's it. That's how I looked at it. The Quran is wrong.
Women are just constantly patting themselves on the back about how difficult their lives are, and no one corrects them because they want to.
Okay, Miss Alima. This was definitely her best verse against the Quran. Definitely top 3 since it was at the top of her head ready to go. Here's the full verse, by the way, that was not included on your screen since you only quoted a part of the first sentence. The verse talks about inheritance, clearly stating that among siblings, the brother will get twice the share of the sister, and that is literally all the statement you quoted is talking about. And why does the sister get half of the brother's share? Because, as the footnote explains, the brother has to bear the expenses of the household, including the sisters. The sister does not have to spend on the house from her own money, so the brother will have more responsibility. If both siblings are unmarried, the brother not only has to take care of the sister with his money, but also has to pay for his future wife's wedding dowry, while the sister keeps her money without having to spend on the family and gets wedding dowry from her future husband. If both siblings are married, then the brother needs to provide for his wife and kids, while the sister should be taken care of by her husband. So her money is her money. Ergo, the brother has greater responsibility and needs more money. Now you can say, but why is Islam promoting such a patriarchal structure? I don't need my brother, father, or husband to take care of me. I have a job and can pay my own bills. I don't need no man. Everything should be equal. Well, newsflash for you. For 99% of human history in all regions of the world, men were the breadwinners of their household. Not because of the patriarchy, but because there was no need for both genders to go grind it out to bring money while nobody took care of domestic affairs. So any rules creating radical shifts in wealth distribution would be a completely impractical step for those societies. In fact, why am I even saying this as if these are societies that existed centuries ago? Even in today's Western liberal gender pay gap reducing society, men are earning more than women. And no, it's not simply because the patriarchy, but that's a separate debunked point. According to a 2023 Pew Research study, men in the US are still more likely to be the primary breadwinners of their household, even though both spouses now need to work given the state of the economy in the US. Even in egalitarian households where both men and women earn between 40 to 60% of their household income, men are working longer hours on average. And this isn't even talking about who spends more for the house. But culturally speaking, I know a lot of liberal women who would be the first ones to bounce if the guy asks to split the check. So
Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, thy name is
Gada. Well, that is her name. If you know, you know. Anyway, we're talking about the Western world, where I have shown that men bear the bigger brunt of the financial responsibilities compared to women. I'm not even talking about the rest of the world, where far more than just 55% of men will be the primary breadwinners. So to summarize,
Of course it's wrong. That's in the Quran. That's it. That's it. That's how I looked at it. The Quran is wrong.
no, it's not. It's a perfectly acceptable and manageable way to split inheritance which has endured across cultures and across time, giving everyone their rights. You just don't know how to see that because Western liberalism has convinced your insecure mind that the worth of a woman can only be judged by weighing it up against the worth of a man. Now, this response to your point did not require deep levels of Quranic research. All that this factual response required was some brain cells, a little bit of integrity, and literally the first page of Google searches. So when you make the claim that
Yes, I read the Quran from cover to cover numerous times.
you either are totally ignorant of what you are reading,
This is presumptive, paternalistic.
I bet chup kar. You're either totally ignorant or are purposefully deceiving your audience. Look, you present yourselves as if you're the only ones who have questions on Islam. The rest of us are just blind sheep. The reality is that anyone with any amount of critical thinking will have questions on their worldview. Some decide to do the research in their search for truth, no matter what the rest of the world says, while others cop out and just follow the dominant social trends of their time.
And the more I learned of science, and it was just basic high school science, nothing spectacular, you know, and learning about evolution, learning about physics, learning about chemistry. That made sense to me, and religion didn't.
Yeah, I don't really question basic high school science. Now my son is learning about gender theory, and I'm not even sure if I should call him my son or not.
So much of it was just like believe in it because Like, we said you should believe in it, and it says in the book that it's right because the book says it's right.
You know, traditional ways of teaching religion has been because I said so, right? Because my father did so. But when you look at Islam, you're encouraged to ask questions in order to leave doubt.
وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَكُونُوا أَمْثَالَكُمْ.
Lazy and pathetic arguments. None of these reasons are good enough, quite honestly. Look, I had questions on Islam. Will you stop putting that picture up again, please? I had questions on Islam, but guess what? I did research, and I found out that Islam and the Quran knocked my doubts out of the park. From the looks of these, though, it looks like you haven't done anywhere close to that level of sincere research. You seem more like the socialized byproduct of Western secular liberalism rather than the free thinkers you all claim to be. And look, I know I've been continuously saying secular liberalism over and over again like a broken record. Why not show you some data from the devil's mouth itself? Here is a survey on ex-Muslims that these guys themselves have compiled. It shows 67% self-identify as slightly to firmly progressive, while only 6% have any identification with conservatism. Contrast that to Gallup's poll of the average American's views, where only 25% identify as leaning to completely liberal. It's nothing even close. In fact, there isn't a single ethnic or age group that comes close to numbers as skewed as these people. And it gets even worse when you find out that people like this are actually the end result of the designs left behind by the Colonial project. This is the book written by the British Consul General in occupied Egypt well over a century ago, where he talks about forcing Muslims to adopt the principles of Western civilization. The West educating a class of young secular Muslims to be the rulers, making the Muslim reformer hate Muslim scholarship more than Europeans do, until these modernized Muslims become deists. Because even this Gora Shaitan thought atheism was just too stupid. In short, category number 2, arrogant, insecure dissenters who try very hard to present themselves as category number 3. Well, except they won't call themselves misguided. Category number 3, from my experience, seem to keep within themselves. They are not open, outright dissenters, and they seem to not bring up old, regurgitated, debunked nonsense on Islam like category number 2. Their sincerity seems to be more on point, and they still seem to be searching for the truth. They have more dignity than category number 2. The hypocrisy will be nowhere near as glaring. The failures and irrationalities of our Muslim society have put a dent on their sincerity. If true Islam is presented to them in the proper manner, I believe they will accept the truth because of their sincerity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide these people back to the truth and help them find what they are looking for. However, they need to put in the legwork just like the rest of humanity has to, Muslim or non-Muslim. There's more to be said on this. I know I haven't covered everything, but we'll have to leave it for another time. Please like, share, and subscribe.